Call this meeting to order. Roll calls.
Mark McCreary. Sandy Zachary. Here. Billy Craig.
Okay, the only item we have on the agenda today is the signing of the disaster emergency proclamation for coronavirus. And, first of all, I'd just like to say that we're all in unfamiliar territory here. You know, we've never been involved in anything like this. It's new to us. And I'd like for us to maybe have just a little bit of discussion about this. If anybody's got some input on it, well, I'd like to hear it. And I know Billy Don, he talked to some, I think some other officials last week, didn't you, Billy Don?
Yeah.
Maybe was it the state senator?
Yeah, and I'm gonna see them again this weekend probably. What is about is just they, you know, when after that meeting Monday and everything, they come out that this could last till August, so on, so forth. If it does, we run on a very slim budget, and if things do that, you know, we're not gonna have no money to pay the employees either. So if they get this federal money, then I was hoping that maybe we could get some kind of federal money to help us pay the bills anyway. We don't have to lay nobody off or just shut down, you know what I mean? And I don't know of any other way we can make it if it keeps on, because it's gonna hit us. We ain't gonna have the money. You know, we run a fuel bill of $3,000 a month, $4,000 in help, and if our taxes already down. So I was just trying to get ahead, and I talked to some, and they said, well, there's gonna think about putting in a disaster, you know, part and trying to get some federal help. So I kind of want us on that list. You know, what y'all think too. I mean, maybe next week it'll all be over, and this will be a waste of time.
And we hope it is.
Yeah, but that's it. And then another thing, they're giving a lot on the health, and I thought maybe, you know, Randy and them, or we could see somebody and maybe get a little federal money to help us with the hospital. Because, you know, it'd be, we got a lot of older people, nursing homes here, and it'd be real convenient for them, you know, to have a hospital open in some part, you know, to help if they come down. I don't know if that happened, but we might could ask for some, check on it.
Well, I've got a feeling that this, with the momentum that this has got going on nationwide like it is, this is gonna be out here for a while.
Yes.
I mean, if everybody got healed up right now, it'd still take a long time for it to all settle down. And there's obviously been a lot of economic problems caused by it already, and I think we've just seen the start of it, to tell you the truth. I believe that it's gonna probably escalate quite a bit before it throttles down. They're expecting that warm weather is gonna make a change and help stifle the system, but we need to be braced and prepared for it. And if we don't take action now, we're gonna be on the back end of it, and we don't need to be there. We've been there plenty enough already.
Commissioner, I can tell you on our side, we're already, I mean, and I'm not even talking about the sheriff's office, I'm talking about the jail side. We're already probably gonna be looking at a $7,500 to $10,000 increase this month, just in supplies that we're having to purchase. We've got with Chief Dixon, they basically put their jail on hold. We're taking inmates, we've shut our jail down to felony status, domestic violence, alcohol related things that cannot go back to the street. We're not accepting any warrants unless it's a felony warrant. But even with that, the staffing now, because we have to examine everybody in the Sally Port, if we have more than one or two inmates, especially if they're different sexes, we have to put them in a quarantined, special ventilated cell. We've only got one of those because our facility was just built with one. It's medical isolation. Well, with that being said, we now have to put, if we have two, a male and a female, then we have to put the female or male out. When you come into the Sally Port, there's a holding tank out there. We have to put one there and then rotate them. We're checking temperatures. We went through yesterday, we went through 3 boxes of gloves, which is very unusual. There's 25 pair in a box. So That's because everything they're doing, and now with that being said, our upfront staff's wearing gloves because every contact they have with the public. So you know, our increase out there in cost is rising. On the sheriff's office side, we're now having to look at getting protective equipment that we normally wouldn't have to get for unattended deaths, things like of that nature, which a lot of that things that the community doesn't hear about. But I bet we average anywhere from 10 to 12 unattended deaths a month that are just natural deaths. Well, those deaths now, you know, we have to ask those same 6 questions. So we are seeing a rise on our side. I mean, we do have the help of Stigler that's helping us, but that's just our side of it. That's not even counting the sheriff's office side. That's just the jail itself.
Well, I will say that Gene Walls did send something, that second page there, Tim. I've got a few others if anybody wants some. Chris, I don't know if I go to, if not, I can send the email out to everybody to have their email address. This president has declared a national disaster. What is unclear is what effect it may have on the public services. We have recommended that all counties, if you have additional costs as a result of the virus, document. The cost is in case, is a reimbursement for in the future. Overtime, cleaning, and security. So this is something that we all need to keep in mind. We do need to get this out to our businesses, because you know, I know one yesterday I went to drive through, they had an extra person I didn't recognize, so they're putting extra payroll to help the community and their business. So this is something that I can go ahead and make a copy of this and get out, but they need to keep copies, they need to keep receipts. Chris, is there anything else that they need to keep for anything?
Anything that has to, any kind of documentation that has to do with their finances, especially right now, they need to be able to take that and show where there's been an increase in cost or a decrease in revenue from either last year or last month, or however they look at that. I haven't dealt with FEMA on an issue like this before, so I don't know what all they'll ask for, but they're very, very thorough. I know that on their paperwork, and they will want documentation. So anybody that's interested in getting some help from them, and that's where most of our help is more likely to come from. They're like any other government bureaucracy. They want the paperwork.
But if we don't get some kind of help, then we're gonna be completely shut down. And then what do you do?
Well, I'm talking about not necessarily the county or even the city governments, but individual businesses.
Yes,
But yes, the county, the city of Stigler, the other cities in the county also, you can keep up with what you're spending, especially if, like with the sheriff's department and the jail, if there's extra expense, you need to have all the documentation. I would hang on to receipts, everything that you can keep to show that, hey, we spent this much extra money during this event. And I think from what I've seen, and I'm getting updates every day, but on the spread of the virus, but from what I've seen, I think with the declaration of a disaster, that there will be some FEMA money, probably for local governments as well as local businesses. So that's not out there yet, but I have a notebook here. If anyone wants to give me your email, if you want updates, I can push that out to whoever wants it.
As of yesterday, I've got on a phone call chain with DC. I called him yesterday at 12:15, and they're telling us as well the same thing Chris said, that there's going to be FEMA money out there. They suggested that we keep special spreadsheets, which I've got Michelle doing, all of our needs, a special spreadsheet of our expenditures. We're keeping a copy of our invoice, keeping a copy of our purchase order request, all of that in a special file. That way when FEMA comes in, we have a file just to hand them and say, this is the cost that it took to get us through this portion of this event.
It wouldn't hurt, and I haven't seen any kind of anything from FEMA or from OEM or anyone else, but it wouldn't hurt to even keep a narrative, like a journal, of what you're doing above and beyond what's normal, especially for our county and city governments. Just that's part of documentation. You know, if you're writing down, this is what we're seeing, this is what we're doing extra, and that keep that in conjunction with your spreadsheets and with your receipts and everything, your revenue list or whatever. The more documentation you have, the better off you're going to be.
Day by day documentation, 90 days from now is gonna be difficult to fill in the blanks. So
Yes.
if you can do an hour by hour, day by day, week by week, month by month, you're gonna keep it. And if you have some people that's available and capable of doing that, then you need to make sure that they're doing it, because the more documentation you have and the accuracy of it,
Yes.
it's gonna be a lot easier to put your claims in.
And we've dealt with FEMA plenty in the past on floods and such, and it's all about the paperwork. I mean, you gotta have your paperwork.
And they're going to be hit so hard nationwide with this that they're going to look at everything.
But the thing about it is too, is we have to show where our taxes is fell out, our money coming in.
Yes.
Is what dropped down, you know what I mean, from, say we're getting 140,000, and now it's dropped down to 80,000. You know, we need to keep a record of that, showing how much we've lost.
The treasurer's office should have that
Yeah.
documented, to where you can monitor it, but it would be good to enter that into your daily ledger,
Yes, sir.
and keep record of it, so that, like I said, just like Chris said, they're gonna get this from every state.
Yeah.
And there's gonna be so much involvement, there's gonna be backlogs like you can't believe, so you may be digging this up 9 months from now, trying to get a claim in.
Well,
Well, did you have anything?
yeah, I was wondering if we had a copy of the proclamation, and the reason I bring it up is the city, in discussion with the mayor, because we didn't want to call a special meeting, because we already felt like that most of the people were in compliance or exceeding what CDC had recommended, but just like the county, we want to be on top of the things that might affect us financially, but from a health perspective, if things were to get worse, like we started experiencing a large number of infections, serious illnesses, it would change very quickly how we would need to react, and at that point, the city would probably issue an emergency proclamation, taking some of the steps that we've seen some of the other cities take, closures and things of that nature. So I wouldn't want to do anything that would be in conflict with your proclamation, but we would certainly do that in conjunction with the county. And we hope we do it in conjunction with all the cities and towns in the county, so that we could all be on the same sheet. You know, I hope and pray it doesn't get to that.
Yes.
Because I see compliance every day. The banks told me this morning that they're going to start closing their lobbies tomorrow. So everyone's continuing to take precautions. If you need to get in, you can make an appointment to get in, but you know, with people practicing their distancing, kind of like we're trying to do here, limiting the size of meetings, closures on all those things where there were large gatherings before, I think we're going to be okay. But none of us know what tomorrow is going to bring. So that would be my only comment, Clark, is we'll monitor it, and at the first indication that things may become different than they are today in terms of reported cases, then we'll probably take action
Absolutely.
in conjunction.
And I think the city and around in our community, businesses have already started. in
Yes,
some
they
areas. So they're already looking at, and if it gets worse, then they'll take the next step. But, you know, you can go through Stigler, you can probably go through Keogh, McCurtain, and Kenna. They're already taking precautions to be safe.
Right.
So we're one step ahead already.
Yes, I think we are.
Rob, did you have something?
Well, I was going back to the keeping up with the expenditures that we have that's above and beyond what's normal. I was just going to caution everybody to try to keep them as accurate as you can,
Yes.
not exaggerated, because there's going to be plenty of nationwide exaggerated reports going on this thing. And I'm gonna say FEMA is gonna look at it and audit it. So if you got a good, accurate report, got documentation to back it up, it'll make the process go faster,
And much easier.
much easier.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you have a disaster like this and the government's putting out money, it's easy for people to think, well, let's just get a little extra here. But if you got good, correct, documented, expense form, it makes it a lot easier to settle with them. I have never dealt with FEMA, but I'm gonna say that's gonna be the case.
It's all without the paperwork, documentation.
And if, that's all I was gonna add to what we was talking about on the documentation.
Chief Dixon, did you have anything?
I just hope it don't, cause if somebody comes down to Stigler PD, no more people than we have, it could shut us down in a hurry.
Yeah. That's just it, one person can do a lot of damage.
Yeah, I guarantee you they could, like Tim could get his whole place quarantined and.
Oh man, I'm gonna tell y'all, I've lost a lot of sleep because I mean we've got 50 people out there, and I mean it takes one. And the problem that we've had is new inmates have came in since this has came on. They go to the back. Now we've got TV saying, "Oh, everybody's got it." So last night we have two in the back. Says, "Hey, I've got a cold. I think I've got the virus." So now you bring them up front. You gotta you check their temperature. We're checking their temperature every 8 to 10 hours. One of them was 96.8, and the other was 97.1. Yeah. So, but this is this is exactly what we're running into, which is, I literally I got home at 4 o'clock this morning because we've dealt with it, and we're continuing to deal with it. So, I mean, it's I think the best thing that we've got is what we're trying to do is limit the contact. I know our guys are trying to limit contact to the public as much as they can, but still we've still got calls to take, and we've got the elderly calling daily because they're worried to death. I mean they're not leaving their homes. So I mean,
Did you have anything, sir?
Probably the one thing I can offer is what we've got in this room, and that's this TV, which is a Zoom capable. So if you guys, just the 3 commissioners or emergency management, wanted to televise something out with getting it out to a broader audience without having to have that exposure, it's here for you to use. It's here in every county. So I'll just leave it at that. You got questions? We fortunately have done some of these meetings with master cattleman classes, not intended for the events we're going under here, but it's available.
Appreciate that. Well, if there's no other discussion, we'll move on to the item 3, and I'll entertain a motion to sign this emergency proclamation.
I make a motion.
I second.
Roll call.
Sandra Zachary,
Yes.
Billy Cloud,
Yes.
Parker Stern.
Yes. Item number 4 is to adjourn. Oh, yeah, better sign it before we adjourn.
So you have to look at it though, what are you gonna do if that happens?
Yeah, I mean,
That's just like us, if the money's not there, what are we gonna do?
yeah, I agree. I mean,
You're the same way. If we don't have the money to feed them, or if we don't have the money to pay your help, what happens then?
we don't have a directive on what we're supposed to do. If we have best thing we can do is keep them quarantined for 14 days, all of them together. I mean, they're all confined. They're not going. But if you have, it's just a mess.
Well, you'd limit visitation.
Well, it's already done.
Yeah.
We shut that off. Sunday night I called up there and had them call everybody. There's no visitation until at least after April 6th when schools go back.
She can get you a coffee.
We're working with our phone provider right now, CTC, which is another thing that you guys got to look at is a revenue loss. But right now these phone providers are offering free video visitation, which we offer, plus free phone calls to their family. So you think about it, we do visits. Well, now if they're offering free phone calls, the ones that didn't get visits, they're going to take the free phone calls. So that's a revenue source that we lose, because it's just what we lose that.
Right.
So the other side of it is folks aren't getting out. So the other revenue source that we're losing is family coming in to put money on their books. Well, we're able to offer it through credit card and different things, or they can order it online. A lot of family, especially in the rural area that we have, don't have the capability of ordering their family's commissary online. So they take advantage of bringing the money to put it on their books so they can order it. So I mean, there's a lot of revenue sources that we're seeing are being affected. Not big revenue sources, but as most of us in this room know, I mean, it's taken a long time to build those revenue sources where they are, and now we're on the downside for a minute.
That's the same way with the county, say we keep losing that, and then what happens when it's drained?
I agree.
You know what I mean? That's when it's gonna really get serious.
And we also need to take time to think about our elderly people in our community. If we hear something, if nobody can get to them, make sure they are taken care of, because they're not gonna get out, they don't need to get out. So, if anybody hears anything, that's something we need to move on also.
Before we adjourn, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for being here, and I thank you for your input. We
Yes.
appreciate you. And I'm gonna make a motion we adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
I say,
Make Clark motion,
Okay, I see.
Mark Perry,
Yeah.
Sandra Zachary.
Yes.
Billy Cloud.
Again, if anyone wants updates from Oklahoma OEM, or that's where most of my stuff's filtered through, the Oklahoma Emergency Management. Put your email down on this page, and I will make a list of people. I'm going to include the 3 commissioners and anybody else that wants to be, and I'll push out updates. I'll get them every morning. So.
And I did send out an email to several this morning. We got a meeting